Domino, motherfuckers, what's happening?
All right, so back up in this thing for another one. This is Connecticut's most controversial podcast. This is the Domino Effect, and as always, I go by the name of Domino. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys from listening, wherever you're doing that from, be it SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, even Twitch, wherever the fuck you get your podcast, we are there. And the guest I got today, just like the Skinny Boys, shout out to them. It's a very special one to me. Again, just like the Skinny Boys, somebody from my hood that's doing amazing things out here. And, you know, before the year is out, I just wanted to, you know, shine my light on it, you know, do what I can as a podcast and as a host to shine some light on this brother, even though, you know, you should know him by now. You know, he's been on, you know, countless podcasts, countless shows. He's cool with Blumenthal. He was just with Taraji P. Henson. I don't know how the fuck he pulled that off, but we're going to talk about it. A lot of people from the hood, you know, they make it out. They don't like to give back, you know. Shout out to the people that do, you know, shout out to, you know, your Michael J. Weiss, your Charles Smiths, your Chris Smiths, you know, people like that. But right now, in the dojo, I have Bridgeport's own, Trumbull Ave's own, Trumbull Gardens' own, Mr. Harry Bell. Mr. Bell.
What's up, brother? What's going on?
How are you? How you doing?
I'm blessed. I'm here. I'm excited to be here. Grateful to be blessing the podcast or be a blessing as well to this podcast or to the people.
Word. I like to hear that. So, first and foremost, how are you? How's your mental health? How's everything been for you as of late? You know, we still got COVID going on, but you still moving and shaking out here. But how are you?
Well, me as a person, you know, I take it one day at a time, one foot out the other. You know, I go with the flow. I'm very spiritual. So, you know, if I'm able to go and I feel good, I'm with it.
Word.
That's why I'm here right now.
Have you always been spiritual though?
Yeah, but I think as I got older, I respected it and understood it a little more. So when I say spiritual, you know, I don't look at it as me spiritual through one religion. It's just I know it's a higher power and I'm in tune with it.
Got you. Now, Harry, like I said at the beginning, grew up basically where I grew up. You know, he grew up in maybe like the thick of it. I was maybe like a street over. You know, it's not that far of a gap. You know, he grew up in the Terrace, well known as Trumbull Gardens. I grew up on Sunshine. Not that much of a difference. You know, you still run into your bullshit, you know. Growing up in the Terrace, 80s and 90s, wasn't the best. Still to this day, it's improved. Still not the best. Basically what I want to get is, we want to start from the beginning because, you know, to where he is now, this all started from a coloring book. And like I said, this man has done some amazing things that hopefully we get to highlight, if not all of it, at least most of it. So we want to start from the beginning and then work our way up. Now you were born and raised in Bridgeport?
Born and raised.
Terrace the whole time?
Whole time. I just moved out to Terrace.
Just moved out of there like 3 years ago, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, how was it for you growing up in the thick of it? Because I grew up in the Terrace maybe like, I lived there till maybe I was like 3 or 4. They knocked my building down, and then we moved to Sunshine. But all of my friends, everybody I hung out with, either lived on Reservoir or lived in the Terrace. So I wasn't that far removed from the shit. So I was like, I know shit that's going on. I'm just not in it. So how was it for you growing up in it in like the 80s, 90s and all that?
It was difficult, but I think what was different about me as a young shorty growing up in that era and being in the mix of everything, I knew I had purpose. I knew that Trumbull Garden was not the final destination for Harry Bell. But I had to work within what was going on
Mm,
to get where I'm at today.
got you. Now, when did you actually get that mindset? Because, you know, growing up, it's easy to fall into the bullshit. You know, you fall into the hood mentality. You know, you basically you become your environment. You know, you grow up around certain people. You think that's how you supposed to act. That's how you're supposed to live. This is the day to day. It don't get no better. Damn sure can't get no worse. So now, at what age did I guess that awakening come?
Well, I think as a shorty, meaning around like 7 or 8,
Mm,
I knew I was different because I remember one time I was somewhere and this lady said, "I remember you as a kid in the Terrace." And she said, "You was right." I'm like, "What you mean?"
mm,
She said, "You was right." She said, "One day somebody was talking about your family." And rewind that. People don't know my family's real thick in Trumbull Garden.
mm,
We the Bell family.
mm,
You know, all my aunts and uncle died from drugs or alcoholism. My blood, my family blood is in the streets in them tears because, you know, my uncle OD'd out there. Like my mom um was killed. Was when I was She was not killed. She died of AIDS when I was young.
mm,
But, you know, it all started from the addiction from the Terrace.
mm,
So my blood is in them streets, my family blood.
mm,
So she said that I was about maybe 8 or 7, and there were some individuals talking, saying like, "Look at them Bells, man. The only thing they do is sell drugs or drink liquor or do drugs." And she said, I said as a little shorty to that lady, "That's not gonna be me."
mm.
So I knew back then that I had a purpose, but I started understanding my purpose when I was probably like 17, 18.
Mm. Okay. So you saw the problem early, diagnosed the problem, and said, that won't be me. I cannot go out how the rest of my family did.
Yeah.
So now, unfortunately, you didn't grow up with your mom. Sorry to hear that. Who'd you grow up with? Pops, grandma, aunts?
Well, my birth mom, her name was Elizabeth Bell. She died when I was in middle school, but
Mm,
she left me in the hospital because she had an addiction. Addiction was to heroin back then in the 80s. You know, that took over the black families.
mm,
And so she left me in the hospital for my aunt to raise me. So my aunt took me out the hospital. So I grew up calling my aunt my mom.
mm,
So I was raised by my aunt, but she's really my mother because that that was the only mother that I believe I had
mm,
until maybe like 7 or 8 before my mom died. The news hit that, you know, my aunt, who I thought was my aunt, was really my mom.
mm.
So
Wow. That has to be crazy to hear as a kid where you thought it was like, hey, this woman passed away, was really my mom, but who's been taking care of me this whole time? That got to be a fucking shock. Um, Now, you growing up in Trumbull Gardens. Now, like I said before, it's easy to fall into the bullshit. How do you not fall into the bullshit? Because it's around you every day, all your peers, family, just the environment of the terrace. It's like, that's where we from. But it's just like, sometimes you can't help but to fall into that bullshit. But how, well, I'm not going to say have you, but like, did you fall into that shit at all?
yeah,
Like the street shit?
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I dibbled and dabbled in the streets, you know, because it was there.
Mm,
But, you know, I learned early that it wasn't for me because, you know, I remember like yesterday, you know, every time I left and I go and I come back around, they're like, "Yo, what's the name just got shot?" Or "This person just got bagged." Every time I left, something happened. So
mm,
I start to realize that God had a calling on my life, and it wasn't the streets.
mm. Now we're gonna get to Taraji thing later, but I heard you say on the show that you saw someone get killed when you were how old?
I think about 8.
When you saw your first murder. Wasn't your last,
Mhm.
but it was your first.
Yeah.
Now, how did that impact you? Was it somebody you knew, or was it just like?
Nah. So me and a few friends, we was on the green thing. Every project got a green thing.
Yeah.
So I just realized that was the electrical box.
Yeah. We was all just chilling there.
Yeah.
It was the turtle and it was that electrical box.
Yeah, definitely. So we was up in a circle, and we was all playing, I don't know, 52 pickup, knuckles, whatever.
Mm.
And the only thing we were pa 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 pa. As kids, our main, we should have thought to run away, but we ran towards it after we heard the car skid off.
Mm.
So when we got there, we only thing on our way there, we just heard a horn, beep, and then when we got closer to the car, that's when we noticed it was a man dead with his eyes open, shot in the head, and his forehead on the steering wheel, and then that's why the horn didn't even go off.
Mm. So now, as a kid, what does that do to you? Does it traumatize you? Does it excite you? Does it what does it do to the adolescent brain? Because some people be like, yo, that shit crazy. I'd never want that to be me. Or you can go to the other side of it. Niggas is like, yo, you might feel like some type of rush from that shit. Like, so how did it affect you?
Well, we all talk that after it happened, like, yo, we think we might have dreams, because we always heard if you see a dead body, you're gonna dream about it.
Mm.
So the next day, I didn't have no dream. None of my friends had no dreams. So we just like brushed it off like it was nothing, because it was something, but it was like normal to us.
Yeah.
So it was nothing to us to see, that was the first killing, but that wasn't the first shooting.
Yeah.
So it was just like, oh, shoot, he dead. And we didn't have no dreams.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's just go on about life like ain't nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first time I heard about somebody getting shot was my cousin Derek. And he was somewhere, got shot, and he lived in the Terrace, then he moved out like a little while ago. Yeah, and I was just thinking, like, why would somebody shoot him? What did he do? This, that, and the third. And that was like my first introduction to like that lifestyle, where it was like somebody close to me was clinging to life, and I didn't understand why. I was like 4 or 5, something like that. And I just couldn't make sense of it. And then as you get older, you start going outside more, when you want sunshine and you hit that hole in the gate, it's not that hard to go back to the hood. The lady that babysat me lived in the Terrace. So it was like, I'm just constantly around this shit. Then when you see like a drive-by, a drug sale, you see something, he's like, oh, all that shit is clicking now. Maybe that's why he got shot. Or you see niggas fighting, then somebody come back and now they want like real revenge and shit. So it's like, now all this shit makes sense. So now, you growing up in the Terrace. What's school looking like? Are you like, doing good in school? Are you like around knuckleheads?
Well, I was kicked out twice. I was kicked out of Central twice, and I went to alternative school. But what happened was, my cousin Bubba saved my life because he owned barbershops.
Oh, it's your cousin. Okay.
Yeah.
So
what happened was, my cousin Robbie, he was a real dirt bike kid. He was sweeping the hair in the barbershop, but he didn't want to do it. So I kept telling Bub, like, yo, man, I don't want to be in the Terrace, man. I need to be in a barbershop because I knew where I was gonna go if my time wasn't occupied. So Bub, like, yo, I can't fire your cousin Robbie. You know what I mean? You gotta wait till Robbie screw up, and then you catch the rebound and you dunk it. So what's so crazy, I felt like my success led to my cousin Robbie failure, because Robbie was murdered a little while after leaving the barbershop, because he loved the dirt bike life, and he got chased and he was hit.
Yeah, I remember that. That was one of them summers they was chasing Robbie on a dirt bike, and then they say the cops might have hit him and something like that. Yeah, I remember that shit. That shit was a while ago. That shit was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. So now you fill that spot in the barbershop. Now, do you feel like a sense of security when you get there, or do you feel like you're doing something with your life? Like, what's the feel once you take on that role in the barbershop?
Well, I started sweeping hair, making like $35 a week, just sweeping hair and going making store runs. So by the end of the week, I probably was like at $60-$70 when, I was like, one thing about me, I had patience. A lot of my friends that's grown up, they didn't have patience. So they wanted the fast money. But I knew where the fast money
could lead you
because we grew up with it our whole life. We seen either you go to jail for a long time or you get killed or you got to keep looking over your shoulder. And I didn't want that. I wanted the money and I wanted to enjoy life. So only thing I knew was the next best thing to a drug dealer was a barber. So I stuck it out and grind until Bub said if I finished school, he'd give me my own chair. So lucky to my cousin for giving me something to strive for. I graduated in 2002 and became a full-fledged barber.
Okay, so you got your barber license.
Yeah.
Okay, shit, I didn't know that.
Back then.
All right, so now how long was you cutting hair there?
I was in a barbershop from probably like 9 to like 25, 26.
Okay.
I grew up in a barbershop.
Grew up there, yeah. I remember I used to get my hair done like the East, and I don't know why I didn't go to like whatchamacallit, headquarters and nothing like that, yeah. But that's just who my grandfather knew, and that's where he took me. But I was like, all right, whatever. But so you cutting hair, you stay there till you like 25 or something like that, and then I'm guessing that's where the security job kicks in. So why do you stop cutting hair?
Oh, because what happened was I still was like trying to find myself, and like the barbershop back then it wasn't structured, and a person like me, I needed structure. You give a kid that didn't never had nothing. You give him $1,000 a week back when I was like 17 years old, own car. I was getting high, smoking weed, drinking.
Oh, you about to blow all that shit.
I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like the barbershop was the streets. So not looking at it as a business that, my cousin Bubba, I got into it with a couple barbers because they wanted to work on a day that I was working, and I felt like they couldn't do it as if this was the street. And I checked them, and my cousin Bubba didn't respect that.
He was like, yo, you can't be bringing that you can't be bringing inside my business.
I didn't understand it.
Yeah. Most people don't. Most people think, it's an easy transition from street life or what out there. You bring that to the corporate world or a business, and you think you can use them same. You just think everybody moved the same way, and everybody just don't.
Nah. But him not letting me back actually saved my life. It made me who I am today. Because again, I was having a son. My son probably was like 3 years old at the time, and from making like $1,300 a week to not making nothing, it really made me find out who I was as a man and get in tune with where I need to be, and it got me to where I'm at today.
So it kind of pressed your back up against the wall. I was like, I gotta make something shake. I gotta do something.
Yeah.
So now, when does a security job kick in?
So what happened was, I remember I was depressed for about 6 months. I was in my room, not shaving, just depressed because I didn't have no other skill. And I'm thinking that, life was over. So I was in my room depressed for about 6 months. And I remember my son, his name is Samaj, he knocked on the door. And I'm in the room crying like a baby. And my son jumps on the bed. He about 3 or 4 years old. And he knew I was crying. But, I try to man up for him.
Yeah.
I ain't want him to see that.
Mm.
So he like, Daddy, what's wrong? He like, I still need you. I still need sneakers. I still need help.
Mm.
What you doing, Daddy? I swear, that week, next day I shaved and I started working at UPS.
Yeah. I got to do something. Because now somebody depends on me, and now he gave me that extra boost to do something.
Man, I went from making thousands, about $1,300, $1,400 a week for 6 months, not making nothing, then making $300 a week.
Mm.
But I said, I got to be right for my son. So after that, I went, got my gun permit, and I started doing the armored truck. So I started making a little more money. And then after I did that, I got fired from the armored truck because I fell asleep in back of the truck. So
it's always something with niggas, man. It's like, I mean, it happens, man.
Yeah.
I'd have fell asleep at work too. Fuck it.
Yeah. So after that, I went and did some armed security for the University of Bridgeport. And they had a trial program. It was called the escort program. So what you would do is I would drive kids from anywhere up and down Park Ave from UB to Walgreens. And after that, there was a lot of cops working at UB as well. And back then, I'm not people who know that if you work for school security, you work for under the cops. So what I did was get connected to some of the cops, and got connected to the cops and became cool with certain cops, and they put in words for me to work for the city as a school resource officer, and that's how I became school resource officer.
Got you. Now, I want to double back to your depressive state. Now, when you were sitting in your room for that 6 months, did you know it was depression? Because, growing up black, growing up in the hood, a lot of people don't go to fucking therapy. We don't know what to call the shit that we feel. A lot of us our whole life been feeling anxiety, stress, depression, but we don't have names for it and we don't know how to determine it. Now, when you were sitting up in that room, did you know it was depression or you just knew that something ain't right?
Well, I didn't know it was depression until later. I know what I'm saying. We look at it as just being lazy and
it's just like
you saying fuck it.
Yeah, it's like whatever,
I mean?
man.
Yeah. So I could call it depression now because that's exactly what it was. So, but I was blessed to be able my son to help me snap out of it.
Now, when you were going through that, nothing told you like, hey, I need to talk to somebody, I need to do something about it. You just was just sulking in your own just depression, just not shaving, just whatever. Because sometimes our brain tells us like, hey, something ain't right, maybe I should talk to somebody. But then it's like, who am I gonna talk to? Are they gonna fuck with it? Like, I can't talk to my friends, they might make fun of me type of thing. Like, did you have those thoughts like, I need to get this out, like an outlet to somebody?
Nah. I just wanted to soak in my sorrows, bro.
Just deal with it yourself.
Okay.
So now when you're a resource officer, obviously, you're around more kids and all that. Now, did that have any bearing as to why you chose a coloring book to start? Well, later on, but is that why you chose a coloring book?
No, I chose the coloring book for my son. Actually, my first coloring book was for him because he used to like to color and stuff. And I wanted to make him a special coloring book that deals with fun, education, and empowering. And I couldn't find a coloring book that touched them 3 pillars that I wanted my son to have in one book. So I remember as a kid, I used to sketch and write little quotes to go with the sketches to like escape some of the madness that I was going through in Trumbull Gardens.
Right.
That was my way of feeling like I was somewhere other than Trumbull Gardens. Like I felt like I was on a beach somewhere.
Right.
And what happened was I took them quotes and coloring book,
Mm.
them quotes and sketches, and gave it to a guy named Solomon Stanley, who
Mm.
was an awesome,
I know Solomon. Yeah.
awesome artist, illustrator. And I paid him to fix my quotes up.
Mm.
And I made not my quotes, my sketches
Mm.
into cartoons. And he brought that to life. And I created my first coloring book with my son on the cover.
Yeah, I remember that. Now, I was reading up on something where it was like you made this coloring book for your son because he was going through some type of depression. What it sounded like. It was like he was diagnosed with diabetes and something wasn't right with him, so you wanted to lift his spirits. So then you created the coloring book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you ever dabbled in like writing books before, like, short stories or like, anything that has to do with illustration? Have you ever dabbled in that before you did this?
Nah.
Not at all. So it was
Not at
just
all.
that this is brand new territory. So you was like, hey, something wrong with my son. He liked to color. I want to do something for him. Bam, coloring book.
Yes.
Okay. Now, how do you go about putting together this coloring book? So you got the illustrations, you got the quotes. That's cool. Now, how do you go about getting this printed, distributed, things like, well, the first one was just for him, and then he brought it to school, and then people liked it, and it was like, yo, what's this? And it was like, okay, Dad, they like this. So now you getting buzz from, I guess, his classmates or whatever, but how do you distribute, how do you print, and being somebody that doesn't know anything about books?
One thing about me and like people who come from backgrounds like us, we make something out of nothing. We find a means to get stuff done.
Right.
And I realize literally everything you need to be successful is right under your nose.
Right.
But we don't look at it because we always wiping it or blowing it away.
Mm.
And I got my book created from Buller Havens, man. Kids created.
Oh, so
other kids manufactured my book for me. I paid kids from Buller Havens to manufacture my book.
That's dope. So now, not only did you make a coloring book for, I guess, grade school and middle school kids, but then you was already doing like your outreach program where you involved high school kids, where it gives them, they can say, hey, this coloring book, I helped put this together when I was in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, whatever.
What's so crazy you say that is that when the coloring book was kicking off everywhere, like I could be in a mall or wherever, someone they like, I made your coloring book.
That's dope.
I pressed your coloring book. I was
dope.
part of that. So that's why I think a lot of people like rock with my story and rock with me because I always made people feel like they supposed to feel like we did this together. And I was an open book. So we struggled together, we grind together, and we made it to where we at together. So they feel like they should feel like my success is their success.
Right. So now, initially, like I said, you made this book for your son, but now this book is starting to gain traction. What was your first, I guess, what was the first time with the book that you were like, yo, this is really going further than I actually wanted it to, where it was like, I'm surprised this person knows about it, or I'm getting this accolade for it? Like, when was the first time that you were surprised by the creation that you made?
I was in a grocery store, and it was like this 5-year-old, maybe 6, maybe 4 or 5, 6 years old, 4 or 5, 6. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, screaming, and the mother said, "You going, just take the book, And she gave him the book, and I don't know if he was scribbling in it, coloring, whatever. It just, he stopped like having a tantrum. And when I looked, it was my book.
It was your book.
I was just like, that was my wow factor. Like, yo, what the heck?
What the fuck is going on?
Yes.
What is going on here? I made this for one purpose, for my son, just to cheer him up.
Yes.
Now I got kids screaming over the book to stop tantrums at that. So
Yeah.
it was like, take the shit here, and now it's your book.
Yeah.
That's a dope ass feeling. So now, when do you actually start to gain like the attention of, I guess, the city, where it was like, this book is making its rounds in a bunch of public schools now. It's going from the school your kid goes to like, you know, your Hallens, your Blackhams, your Wilbur Crosses, your Reeds, and all stuff like that. Like, when does that start to take place?
Frank Recchia from News 12.
Shout out to Frank Recchia.
So it's crazy because one time Frank was doing a story, right? And after the story, I ran up on Frank like people like rappers run up to, like up and coming rappers run up to like 50 Cent.
Yo, listen
with
to my
their
mixtape. Yo, I could rap. Yo, listen. I got balls.
I ran up to Frank with a coloring book. Frank, like, what the heck? Like,
like who's this big black man?
Yes.
First of all,
yes,
run up on me, and he got a book. I don't know what's in it. But.
Yes. So Frank looks at the book. He like, if you know how Frank talk, like, did you do this?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. He said, you got to be fucking kidding me. He said, excuse my language.
That's just how he talk too.
He said, you got to be fucking kidding me. I said, nah, I did this. He said, people are not going to think you did this.
Mm-hmm.
People are not going to accept that you did this.
Yeah, because
he said, I'm going to throw this in their face.
Mm-hmm.
He said, whenever I call you, just be ready.
Mm.
So I don't know if you remember, when my book first started, I was on the news every week.
Yeah, I saw you on News 12 at least maybe twice a year, like on some shit.
So it could be a killing.
Mm.
Frank would tell me to come at the end and say something positive and hold my book up.
Mm.
And it was just, every time something was negative going on, he made me end the story with a quote from my book.
You was the light. You was the one to give the light during like the negative times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just made me say something positive at the end of every story. Every story he did on the weekend, it could be a drug bust, it could be killing, it could be whatever. He said, I just want you to say something positive and hold your book.
Right. That's dope. Shout out to Frank Recchia, because we don't see people in. So you just running up on somebody and like, yo, this is my product, and just hearing somebody be like, you know what, I fuck with this. So now I'm gonna try to put you on as best as I can. I'm gonna try to put you in every spotlight that I can, every chance that I can get.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man. So now Frank's doing that, and now is like your phone ringing off the hook. You getting crazy emails and stuff like that.
People was like, who the heck is this kid that's always on the news, always saying something positive? And so they had to figure out who was I. So a councilwoman by the name of Jeanette Heron, she met me at I was at the grocery store, and she seen me in the parking lot. She was like, you the kid that's always on the, she was like, did you got your book in school? I was like, nah. So what she did was she made some calls to the mayor and to the superintendent, Miss Fran Rabenzerick, who was superintendent at that time. And the school adopted my book, and I think they bought maybe 10,000 copies for grade 1 through 4th grade.
So that's 10,000 copies getting printed up of your book and distributed through public schools throughout Bridgeport. That's fucking sick. Now, how are you getting the money to print 10,000? Like, where's this money coming from? Is this a straight out of pocket money? It was like, I'm taking my paycheck, I'm just investing it in this book, or are you getting like fundraiser money, or like people like donating? Like, where's the money come from to print all these books?
I was working, you know, and I spent some of my check on to getting these books printed by the kids at you know, and again, it was cheaper to get it printed through the schools because it was like a work assignment. Like it was, but you had to give, you had to pay for a little bit of manual labor and the paper and all that stuff like that. So like, it makes sense. And that's why I try to tell you, like, I think, God guided me in ways that make everything come out as a blessing. So, it was a blessing for me to go to Tech and get these books printed as a work study for the kids.
Yeah, you was in the right place, right time with a lot of that shit. So running into Frank, and then you run it. Well, the superintendent runs into you in the parking lot. Then she tells you about, the things that she can do for you.
Yeah.
Now she gets your books distributed. Now it's in public schools. Now, what happens after that? So now everybody knows your name because they see it on the book. Now a lot of kids see this book. Is your son still on the cover at this point?
Nah, so what happened was, that was one of the hardest things I had to do.
Take them off?
Was take them off.
Yeah.
But I realized sometimes a gift for one person is a gift for the world. So, you know what I mean? So I did some soul searching, and, I had to take my son off. And to this day, my son be mad that I used that picture anyway.
Why? Is that like a school picture or like some you took at home or something?
It was I forgot what type of picture. Where he said, Dad, I look creepy in that picture. He was young, so
you like 8?
Yeah,
You're like 7 or something.
Yeah. So it was hard for me to do that, but like I said, sometimes a gift for one is a gift for the world. So now my book now is like helping hundreds of thousands of kids now across the states, man.
Yeah.
Thousands of kids across the state.
Yeah, that's crazy. That did you ever think that it would happen like this, where it was like, I would do this for this one singular reason, and then it would just reach the masses like it did? Did you ever think that?
Nah, I didn't. I was like, it was surreal for me, man. But like I said, after a while, I start understanding, because like I said, I'm very spiritual. I started understanding that, God's in control. So then I started seeing vision before things started happening. Dreaming and seeing like dreams of, I have dreams where I'm around thousands of kids and I'm on the stage getting an award or something. So, I started seeing that, that is bigger than me.
Definitely. Now, how did having a son change your life?
Because
a lot of times, we live for ourselves, and then once we have a purpose now, whether it be a child, just a higher calling, that shit is just like sets everything in a new direction. So
I always wanted to be my son's superhero. So I had to get it together for him because I wanted to be able to teach him physically, but also mentally. Meaning not just a lesson, but be that lesson. So I used to drink, I used to smoke. My son is 17 now. I've probably been clean from drinking and smoking weed for about 12 years now.
Oh shit, congrats, man. Proud of you, man. That shit is hard. That shit is
Yeah.
hard.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah. So I felt like I couldn't tell my son, don't do this or don't do that if I'm doing it. So I had to look at what I was doing that could be a block against me teaching my son how to be a man.
Right. Now, when you had a son, did you have an extra chip on your shoulder because of how you grew up, being that, your mom passed away, never mentioned your dad, so I'm going to assume he wasn't there. So now, did you have that extra chip on your shoulder? Like, I have to be there for my son.
That's what, and I think that kind of like crippled my son a little bit because me wanting my son not to have the life I have, so I got to do everything, make sure he's straight, not realizing that my son would never have the life that I had because he got me and his mother around.
Right. So that's always.
I didn't learn that. I didn't understand that until probably he was like 14. I was still buttering my son toast. I was still doing everything as if he was like a baby until he became like probably 14, 15 years old.
That's your baby, man. I mean, as a dad myself, I feel like at some point you have to let go. But I got 2 girls, so I'm allowed to be soft. But at some point, you gotta let go and let them be their own human. You know, have them make mistakes. You can tell them 100 times, don't put your hand on the stove, it's hot. But I feel like the best teacher is actually like doing it. You can talk to you blue in the face. I feel like you have to, they have to actually go through it.
Yeah.
But, and then, 14 for a girl is different from 14 for a boy. And I can only imagine the shit that you're going through having a son. Now, are you starting to see like certain tendencies, like, obviously, you got your friends, you got your influences and stuff like that. Are you starting to see like him leaning towards certain shit more than other? Like, is he leaning more towards?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I kind of crippled him because now me and my son, like I said, from the age of my son probably was like, from the day he came out the hospital to 14, my son was with me all the time.
That's dope.
All the time. Like, I did shows, he was with me. He was with me all the time. But I kind of pushed him away because he said it was hard to be my son, because it was hard for him it was hard for him to be my son because everybody looked at him as to be the positive. He couldn't go nowhere without him saying, him getting like, oh, that's Mr. Bell's son, the positive. And he told me, and we fell apart for a little while because he said I was tired of being the positive kid's son. And it kind of like threw us apart that my son was getting in trouble. He actually went away for about a little over a month to the boys group and stuff like that. And he just got back. And now me and my son relationship is back and stronger because that time for me and for us to was apart. I realized that I didn't give him time to grow. I looked at him and I'm still going to look at him as my baby boy, but I also have to let him grow as a young man the same time.
Now, does that at any point make you regret being the positive guy, being the color of positive thought guy? Does any point of that make you regret that?
I did. In the beginning, I used to be like, did I try so much to change for him that it hurted, that it became a burden to him? So I did question myself. But at the end of the day, I realized, that it's going to, everything that I installed in him for the first 15, 14 years of his life, he'd never forget. And eventually he'd come back like the prodigal son.
Right. It's just like teenage angst and shit like that. We all go through. We all don't listen to our parents. We want to venture off and be our own people. But then, once you get older, hopefully your parents are still around when you're older. You be like, you know what? Mom, Dad, you was right. I was bugging. My bad. Ain't nothing wrong with what you're doing. But it's like, you just got to go through that. But, so now let's get back into the journey of the book. So now it's distributed in schools, and what's next? What starts to happen next?
it led me into doing programs.
Okay.
So the book led me into doing programs. Now I do programs all over the city that cater to hundreds and hundreds of kids.
Mm.
And my program now is called the Color of Positive Thought Organization.
Mm.
And we cater on two things, but it falls under umbrella things: youth building and community outreach.
Okay. Dope. Now the I guess like the workshops you were doing, are they like mentoring? Are they like, education based? Are they like sports based, writing based? Like what were they?
Well, it's like I'm everywhere, so I'm like fruit punch. So it's everything.
Right.
Like I just got a building too, so I'm
Mhm.
gonna be doing everything in that building from
Congrats, man.
thank you. So I'm gonna be doing everything from education to fun, game nights, things like that. It's called the Color of Positive Thought Community Nest. And what we're gonna do there is just nurture kids and to become young men and young ladies.
Mhm. Okay. So now you start doing programs, and now what happens after you start the programs? Do a lot of people join up at first because they know you from the books, or is it like kind of hard trying to get people into the programs?
Nah, it was easy because I worked for the school.
Yeah.
So I already had a rapport with parents and they already know me from the book as well.
Yeah.
And just having a rapport with the parents and the kids that I'm always around your kids
Mhm.
every day for at school, at work.
Mhm.
So, they feel comfortable with bringing them to my programs.
Okay.
So it like I said, it is God's plan. It's just like a blessing all around.
Right. Yeah, because you turned you turned the opportunity of the coloring book into an opportunity to start running programs. And then those programs, you ventured off and started doing, I guess community events.
Yeah.
So this means like toy drives, cookouts, fish
Yeah.
fries, whatever,
Sneakers.
sneakers, back to school giveaways. I saw you was giving away prom dresses at one point.
Yeah.
You brought a zoo to somewhere.
Yeah, I brought a
I was
zoo.
like, this motherfucker's doing everything.
Brought
like
the zoo to the hood, man.
to the hood. I was like, yo, this is the type of shit I wish we had when we was younger. I wish like you doing all the shit I want to do. And I'm like, yo, this is dope that somebody from the hood is actually doing it. Like, we don't need nobody coming in, giving us a hand. We got somebody from the block doing the shit. And I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you got a day.
Yeah.
Harry Bell has a fucking day. Somebody from the Terrace, grew up in the Terrace all his life, has a day in the city of Bridgeport. That's November 26th?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did that feel? Because I know maybe one other motherfucker with a day. Shout out to Joey Bats. But you got a day, dog. How does that feel?
To tell you the truth, man,
Like, has it sunk in?
Yeah, I don't think nothing really haven't sucked in as yet. I know that, like I said, I know it's a blessing. I know it's a gift, but I'm more so like it's not about me, but it's more so about individuals, kids that come from the same background that I come from, and see me doing what I'm doing, and they look at themselves as if they can do it.
Right.
So if one kid or two kids get inspired off of what I'm doing and make it a future from what I'm doing, that's what it's about.
Right.
So, and I'm happy I got a day, grateful. But at the end of the day, would I help a young dude who thought about picking up a gun to not pick it up because look what Harry doing, positive, and look what's coming on his plate? So if I can get a kid to think differently because of that day, I'm happy as fuck. Excuse my language.
Now this show, we done said the wildest shit. So fuck is the least thing you gotta apologize for. Now, is there a problem trying to make this cool? because, like you said, your son went through it because he's tired of, being, oh, that's Harry Bell's son, the color positive thought guy. And it was like, I can imagine that that's not the coolest thing to be. Now, is there a problem trying to get the masses to think that this is a cool thing? Kids are impressionable. They go with anything. But it's like when you start to reach out to, older people, maybe like 13, 14, like kids that can form their own opinions and stuff like that. Is it a problem trying to make this thing cool?
They catching on now.
Mm.
I'm not saying that we there yet, but we shaking them.
Mm.
Like, and I think what really did it, and I know you're gonna speak about it later, but the national stage that positive got me on, and I go back to the hood, and people like being positive got you on the couch next to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's shaking up the minds of our youth a little bit, I believe. So I don't think we there yet, but I think that they starting to see that being positive can be cool too.
Right. I mean, you brought it up, so let's talk about it, man. So my man went from the Terrace to Taraji. Nigga, something I'd never saw happening. Like, I thought, well, not that I thought that this was like a local thing, but I was like, how does it reach the ears? Like, how does it reach the desk of a Taraji P. Henson? So how did that opportunity come about?
Well, again, you gotta if you follow my career of what I've been doing, like you said, I gave out 1 million pounds of food during this whole pandemic, over 2 million pounds of food.
Wow.
For Easter, I gave 400 kids brand new pairs of sneakers in Easter basket. Back to school, I gave away, instead of doing a book bag drive, I gave away over 100 brand new computers, laptops.
Yeah, the Chromebooks.
Chromebooks that kids can have for themselves. So when you start doing things that celebrities do as giving back, and you just your average Joe, it's gonna spark some fire somewhere that you wouldn't even imagine it could go.
Right.
And that's how it landed up with Taraji, a friend of mine's who's a producer, a freelance producer up in Hollywood. She freelanced for Taraji. She freelanced for a few people. She seen what I was doing and brought it to Taraji. And once she brought it to Taraji, it was like, I think it was unbelievable to her that she had to get me on her couch.
Right. Now, where'd you go to tape that?
Oh, they flew me out to LA.
They flew you out to, so my man flew out to LA. So now, is it like all expenses paid? You get the fancy hotels, you get the nice limousine, or like, the nice car, whatever.
Pocket money too.
And you got paid for it. Okay. I didn't know that, but shout out to being positive. Positive put money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Do all that good shit. So now you're going to LA. What's your thought process? Why you get the call like, hey, I want you on the show? You're like, all right, bet, boom. So now you on the plane. What's your thought process like on the plane? Like, what are you thinking?
I was like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I really made it to Taraji to LA. Like, you know what I mean? Because again, like, people coming from where we come from, they try to be rappers and they don't make it to a stage where I made it by being positive.
Right.
So it was just like a surreal moment for me. And I think it brought like, what they said, bring sexy back. I'm bringing positive back.
Bringing positive back. We need positive. It's been a dark cloud over, Bridgeport for a long time. And like, to see that to see somebody from where I'm from wind up there is like I was watching that shit like, damn, I know that nigga. I seen him around. Now he in LA. He with Taraji. He on the couch talking. He chilling. Now, when you get there, What's your nerves like? You nervous? You don't know what to do with yourself? Like
Yeah. Prior to the lights, when you pulling up with the limo, I was like, I hope I don't got COVID, because you had to take. Yeah, one thing about then, that's when COVID was kind of high up there too. So you had to take like them tests like every few hours, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like twice a day.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I hope COVID don't mess up my one lifetime of getting national attention for our city and for our youth.
Right.
So I was nervous about that. I was nervous about, like, that's Taraji, that's Cookie,
Yeah.
and not to limit her just Cookie, because she got multiple awards for acting on great movies other than the sitcom.
Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah, that's
everybody.
what everybody know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fucking Yvette. That's Cookie.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
So it was like, it was nervous, but like I said, once they said action, I was ready. I think I was born to do this, meaning born to put a positive light on our city and bring it to a national attention.
Right, because before you posted that, I knew she had a show. I just had no clue where it was. I didn't know if it was on like Facebook, YouTube, if it was like on some streaming service or whatever. But then when I found out it was solely on Facebook and you was gonna be on it. I ain't even on Facebook. I was like, I gotta watch this shit.
Yeah.
So I watched it, heard everything you had to say. Now when the therapist came in, after you had talked about, your life and everything that went on, that was your first time with a therapist?
Mm-hmm.
First time ever with a therapist. Now, well, if y'all have it, I implore you to go watch it. I think if you just type in Taraji P Henson on Facebook, you can find it. Her talk show would pop up. What's
Me
it
and
called?
G Herbo.
Yeah, you and G Herbo. Right. So it's called A Peace of Mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, look for that after you're done watching this. Go check that out on Facebook. I think it's still on Facebook. I don't think it'll be off of Facebook. It might be on YouTube, but just go to Facebook and watch it. So now, first time talking to a therapist, how eye-opening was that? Did you discover some things about yourself that you never knew? Was it like, something you felt like you needed?
Yeah, I think actually being on peace of mind after I got off, I got a peace of mind. What's so crazy again is that, the older I get, the more comfortable I get with myself. So I knew that I was traumatized before I got to the show, that I was still going through it as well. And what the therapist actually made me understand was what I thought was the reason, was what I thought was my healing actually was my healing. So the reason why I go so hard for these kids and these youth in Bridgeport and in our following cities is because of what I went through. So by helping them not go through what I went through as a kid was actually healing me. And that's what the actual therapist actually diagnosed process was, that my joy of helping was others was actually helping me.
Helping you. Right. Now, after you left, did you continue therapy back home?
I actually did sign up.
You did.
So I go once a month now.
You go once a month to therapy. Now, has that made you discover even more things about yourself?
I only went a few times because I go once a month. I just left. It do, but again, I started noticing things as I got older. So some of the stuff that I noticed, she just bringing spotlight on it and how to work through it.
Right. So basically what therapists do is they ask the right questions for you to get to your own conclusion. So they'll, just they'll have you talk and then they'll stop you like, oh, what do you mean by that? Or they'll like ask you a series of questions, then they'll make you get to your own conclusion. And then it's just basically peeling back the onion.
Yeah.
So it's like it just makes you like, oh shit, that's what that was. Oh, that was traumatic. Oh, that was anxiety. Oh, that was depression. Oh, that was this. That was that.
Mhm.
So that's dope. Now, when did you tape the Taraji thing? When was that?
It was a few months ago.
That was a few months ago. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So now, after you tape it, do you get to experience LA at all? Or you just like right back on the plane?
Nah, I was down there for a week.
Oh, you down there for a week? Oh, you was down
It was
there
only
down-
a day of taping.
I was only a day of taping. Oh shit! I thought you was like go there and tape it and just fly right back home. So how'd you enjoy LA? How was LA?
Beautiful.
Beautiful, man.
And again, I was on Taraji dime.
Right, yeah. So everything was top notch. Now, was that your first time on the West Coast?
No, I actually was on the West Coast maybe maybe a year prior to that because I'm actually working on another show.
Oh, can you talk about it?
It's not in the workings. It's not solidified yet, but definitely when everything gets solidified, if you want to have me back on the show,
Oh,
I definitely.
absolutely. I gotta highlight people from the crib. You gotta have people go somewhere to tell their story.
Mhm.
So now, I see a lot that you bring a lot of NFL players to the hood, to these gatherings, to sign balls, just to be with the kids. Now, how are you getting all these connections with these NFL players?
So, my partner, his name is Ivan the Irish.
Shout out to Ivan.
Yeah, he's a sport agent. He grew up a block away from the Terrace as well. He grew up on Valley Ave.
Okay.
And me and Ivan, we wasn't the best of friends, but we was in the same circle, and we always had mutual respect for each other. So, Ivan down there, up in DC, and he's doing real good in the sports agent world. So, Ivan seen what I was doing because he spotted me because I was doing this thing called Munchkin Friday like 7 years ago.
Okay.
So what it was, every Friday, I'll get like 50 Munchkin donuts, and I'll give a kid a donut, a Munchkin, and say something positive to them every Friday. So it's called Munchkin Friday, and that caught his eye. So he reached out to me like, "Yo, man, I want to help you take this to a whole nother level because I just became a nonprofit like 2 years ago." Or a year and a half ago, because I wasn't really worrying about grant money or anything like that, because for the last 8 years, I've been able to put smiles on kids' face consistently, and that was all I wanted to do.
Right.
So I didn't really care about becoming a nonprofit and worrying about grants because my network of people was able to keep me going for all of these years without being a nonprofit and doing what I love, and that's just making kids smile. So I've been like, man, you got to do this right, and you can become a nonprofit. You can apply for grants and do everything in a mass. You can help a mass of kids.
Yeah, this shit don't got to come out my pocket no more.
Yeah.
Now, is that how you pay for like the Chromebooks and the giveaways with the sneakers and stuff like that? Is that how you funded all of that?
No.
No.
Nah. All of that came from me putting, this is what I want to do, and I have a huge like support base. I have Bob Stefanowski, he ran for governor with Ned Lamont. His wife Amy Stefanowski are huge supporters of me. I have a lady named Tony Boucher, huge supporter of me. Kat Lammy from Trumbull, Eve. I got like a huge support system that knows people, and when I put stuff out there, 9 times out of 10 it get done.
Right.
So when I asked for 50 shoes and got 400.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's a lot of fun.
I asked for 30 Chromebooks and got a little over 100.
That's dope, man.
So people invest in me
Mm.
because I invest in the people, and I let people know where it go. Go right back to the community.
That's fucking dope. This nigga doing all the shit I want to do, but I ain't got the resources. One day I'm gonna have the resources.
The resources come with you just doing what you're doing and letting people see it.
Right.
So again, I didn't have the resources either. The resources came to me because I put it out there.
Right.
I think I used social media for what it was used for, to brand myself, but not actually brand myself because, again, I was doing it from a place where it was sincere and people could feel that. So you wouldn't have no problem saying, if I give Mr. Bell $100, will Mr. Bell take that $100 and spend it on himself, or will he spend it where it needs to go to the community? And that's why a lot of times in the beginning, if you gave me a donation, I'll shout you out and I'll show you what I got on Facebook Live or just do pictures.
Right.
And it just made people build a trust level with me.
Right. Yeah, I gotta get the fucking ball rolling. I've been sitting on this idea for at least 3-4 years, and I'll just keep, like, you know, when you trying to execute something and shit keeps getting in the way, you just get bogged down with, like, yo, is it even worth it at the end of the day? Like, should I even be doing this? But, you know, seeing where you've been and where you're going, where I know you're going, it's just like giving me that extra push to be like, you know what? I got to stop sitting on it and actually just do it. So 2022 is going to be a good year.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can get shit rolling at that point. Now, I want to take it back a little bit. Now, when you first do this coloring book, what's the reception in the hood like? How are they looking at you?
Yo, people used to laugh at me. They like, what the hell is my problem? Like, you know, but again, you know, people don't see your vision because it's not theirs. You know, I was selling coloring books on the same block where drug dealers was selling coke and dope at. So you got people selling crack, buying crack, and then you see me 10 feet over with coloring books. I remember one time this lady, she just finished buying whatever she liked to buy on the block.
Right.
You know, crack is, you know.
I mean,
yeah. So
do what she do.
Yeah, do what she do. And she looked at me. She looked at me like twice. Like, are you the coloring book guy? She said, I got $3. Can I get a book for my daughter?
That's wild. That's fucking what? Okay, so dude here, you here, paraphernalia, coloring books, just copped, and then went and copped the book.
Yeah.
Say, I'm gonna get this to my daughter. The math ain't mathing, but she did it. Cool, it's done. So now, so everybody thought you was crazy for doing this coloring book thing.
They laughed. Like, you know, people like, yo, you bugging. What the hell is this? All this. And I'm saying people now, you know, they blowing me up to get community service hours.
I'm saying, nigga, I need help, dog. Yo, look out for me real quick.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So now the hood has I mean, obviously, when someone does something new, something you ain't never seen before, we ain't never seen no shit like this from where we from. Like, people, you know, you get out of here like one of 3 ways. Either you good at sports, crack, or you die selling it, using it, gunshots, whatever the fuck. So now they see you being successful. Have you seen anyone else take that leap of faith where it was like, I see Harry doing this, I know Harry, I grew up with Harry. Do you see other people be like, I want to do this?
Yeah, I'm starting to see a whole bunch of nonprofits, man. Everybody want to help the people and stuff like that, you know, and it wasn't a lot of young people doing it. So now I'm starting to see a lot of young people doing it, and I'm kind of happy. Like, you know, I don't want to say that I inspire them to do it, because if, you know, sometimes when you do stuff, you do stuff because you're inspired, but you also do stuff because that's what you really wanted to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm just so happy that, you know, that I was able to be the person to jump out on a leap of faith and be blessed to actually have people say, I'm about to get my shit together.
Right. Now, since the Taraji episode premiered, has your son changed his tune as to who his dad is and like how?
Oh man, my son is, like I said, he's 17, so he's still growing mentally. But I see 100% change in him, you know, from like 6 months ago.
Right. That's always dope. 'Cause, I mean, like I said, they kids. They going through it themselves. They got their own set of issues. Like some things they'll tell us, some things they won't. But all we can do is just be there for them, and then just show them examples of what a man is supposed to be. Because you know, a lot of people in the hood didn't grow up with dads. We just looked at the niggas that we saw on the block. It was like, hey, I want to be like him. He got on nice shoes. He get girls. He got money. I want to be like him.
And that's another reason why, you know, like people like, everybody be like, why you don't wear suits and stuff? Like, you know, I'm not a stranger to suits or nothing like that. But at the end of the day, I'm making a statement. You know what I mean? And the statement is, like they say, come to church, come how you are. I'm making that statement as of being positive don't mean you're a square. Or, you know what I mean? Or you got to look a certain way. Being positive is something that come within. It's an action. And there's no picture to positive to put you in a category.
Right.
Just be yourself and bring out positivity within.
Yeah, because you'll reach more people being you, looking like you know, dressing how we dress. Because the kids like, hey, this is what I grew up around. So now I see somebody doing positive things, and now because he looked like me, dressed like me, talk like me, I can relate to him more. That's always a dope thing. Who said they got a question? If you got a question in chat, you know, you can go ahead and ask, and I will try to get that to Harry Bell. We can try to incorporate that. Now, damn, I lost my train of thought. So now Taraji happens. How are the emails and the calls now?
Oh man, you know, people think I got money. You know,
People think you got.
yeah, you know, Taraji helped put me on a national exposure. You know, and she a very good person, but you know, people think like, you know how you go on Oprah and back then, or you go on Ellen and they give you a check or something like that. You know, people automatically think that I got a check, you know, and that I get them type of phone calls, and then I just get phone calls of now, oh, can you do this? Can you come here? Can you do that? Can you do that? Things of that nature, man, you know. And again, you know, I lost a lot of friends, you know, and you know, I'm just cautious on everything that I do now because, you know, I feel like God is taking me to a place where, you know, that everybody can't go.
Okay. That's great, man. So now, I guess what's next for Color Positive Thought? Do you plan on like doing more things with the positive thought, where it was like, you know, just other programs where it was like this a positive thought or that a positive thought?
Yeah. So again, I just got a building. It should be opening, and I actually got my first event in the building tomorrow. Is a gun prevention violence Q&A. I got Chicago rapper coming down, Prince Dre. He was down with King Vaughn and Little Durk in them.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, so I got Prince Dre coming down, and then I'm doing like a series of these. I actually just got another rap duo that's coming down on the 9th. And I try to get individuals who our youth will want to see and get people, regular people, to come talk about their experience in the streets and how it caused them to go this way or that way and where they are now. So I got Prince Dre, even though Prince Dre is what you call like a drill rapper and things of that nature, but he got the attention of a lot of young people. So if I can grab him to grab kids and get them in a room to give them a peace of mind real quick on gun violence through others from the community that been through it, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, dope. Hey, I might have to stop by that. I ain't doing nothing tomorrow. But now, what is the address of your building?
I'm gonna give that out like later on.
Okay.
I don't want to give the address out right now because I just don't want
like an influx of people to just be showing up and
especially tomorrow.
Yeah. So now,
you have to register.
Oh, you got to register.
You still got time.
Okay.
Yeah, but you will. If you ride down, the information is gonna be out real soon. Tomorrow, I didn't do it due to the fact is that I didn't. You have to. I wanted you to register.
Okay, gotcha.
So once you register,
you get all the information.
Get the information.
Got you. So you got to make so if you're in the Connecticut area, well, by the time this comes out, the event will already be over. So hopefully, you'll follow him on Instagram or any of his social media platforms, and you'll find out when the next one is.
January 9th.
January 9th. So yeah, this will definitely be out before then. So yeah, this might be my last show for the year. If it is, how do you plan on celebrating the holidays with Color of Positive Thought?
Again, like usually, like I do, like every Christmas, I get like maybe 1,500 to 2,000 toys. Do a big citywide distribution.
Okay.
This time around, I'm more so of taking it a little light because I'm more focused on my building and getting programs implemented in the building, and more so on the educational part and the social and emotional learning part.
Okay.
I'm still gonna do them big things and events and things like that, but for the next few months, I'm more so of focused on the building, getting our game room together, getting our classrooms together. You know what I mean? Because I really want to stress the importance of education in our youth as well.
Right.
And we do a big national football 7-on-7 competition that we take like 25 kids from the city to play in the Pylon tournament, 7-on-7 national. We took 20 kids last year to Virginia, and that's their first time ever for the weekend, all paid expense free, and they get to meet NFL players. They get to get scouted if they up to par. But we give them that opportunity.
That's dope as shit. Now, as far as your team, so it's you, it's Ivan. Who else is on your team? Because it can't be just y'all two doing all this.
Nah, the community.
The people.
The people, yeah. I got people like Steve Nelson. I got my buddy Malik, Ivan. Again, my and just like I said, whenever I do an event, people call me up and they like, yo, we all in, all hands on deck. So it's a us thing. The reason why this is going is because of the people. I invested in the people, and the people invested back in me.
Okay. Now, do you plan, like, what are your future plans for this? Let's say maybe like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Do you plan on making this like a full-fledged, like, I plan on employing people? I plan on, maybe doing a book publishing deal. Maybe you'll open up your own writing firm or whatever the case. Like, what's your big plan?
Oh, okay. Before I answer that question, I do have let me shout out my business. My business friend Natasha knows. She do a lot of organizing my programs and bookkeeping for me. Shout out to Dave Fresh, who do a lot of the manual labor, meaning getting chairs to things, picking up trailers of food and delivering and stuff. But the plan for Color of Positive Thought, I want to build community Color of Positive Thought community nest and in poverty areas, just to be able to nurture kids and let them know that they can make it. I want them to understand, to let their eyes see further than where they are. So the goal is to bring little pop-up community Color of Positive Thought community nests all around cities that's low on poverty, low where social and emotional issues are, mental illness, just to let kids know that there's a way out, and just bring community resources to the community that might not know all about these resources. In this community, and in our community nest, we make them things available.
Okay, that sounds dope, man. Now, who is one person that you're surprised that gravitated to your movement, whether it be a celebrity or otherwise? It was like, I can't believe you know about what I'm doing. Like has a celeb DM'd you like, yo, keep going, keep doing what you're doing? Has it been like somebody from like the neighborhood be like, yo, I can't believe you of all people, like we used to do XYZ. I can't believe you doing this now.
Yeah, so I'm starting to get a lot of follows by celebrities now and stuff like that, and but I think it's more so of, again, this young kid that was going down the wrong path, and I was in his life for about 5-6 years, and he still struggled to this day, but I'm still on his back and help carrying that weight with him. He said to me, he said, I remember when you started and you was just struggling to get people to understand you. And now look where you at. You're the reason why I feel that I can make it.
That's dope, man. You reaching a lot of people, and I don't think you know how many people that you're inspiring, be it from the ages of 4 to 40. It's a bunch of people inspired by the movement, wanting to do better, wanting to be positive, wanting to start their own movements and just do exactly what you're doing, whether they decide to do it in, writing, literature, whether they do it in music, sports, whatever the case may be, podcasting, radio, communications, whatever. However they can be a voice and a pillar in their community, you're inspiring a lot of people to do that. And I just want you to keep going. Go take this shit as far as you can. Do you want this to be, it might be a stupid question, but do you want this to stay a Connecticut thing, or do you want to take this thing global?
Man, again, man, this ain't me. This is a higher power. So wherever this higher power takes me, and I'm blessed to be on coasting in the ride. I'm going there. So if it stopped today, I believe that I made a mark. If it keep going, I just hope it go right where God wanted to go. And I'm there.
Definitely. All right, man. So give everybody like your social medias, how they can reach you, how they can donate, all that good stuff. Any information you want the people to know about events coming up, just
So guys, you can follow me on Facebook, Harry Bell, or Color of Positive Thought, or Color of Positive Thought Organization. Instagram, Mr. Color of Positive Thought, or Instagram, Color of Positive Thought Organization, or just Google Color of Positive Thought Harry Bell, and you'll find me. If you want to donate, again, you go to my website, colorpositive.org, to help the mission. And if you want to know more about programming and what's next, hit me up on Facebook, follow our Facebook, and trust me, we have our itinerary up real soon on what's going on in our location and how you can be involved. And again, we pillar ourselves on two things, but that's an umbrella of things: youth building and community outreach.
Dope. So now you got an event going on tomorrow, but the next one is January 9th, you say, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I'm sure you'll give more information once you get closer to that date, right?
Yep. It's part 2 of just Q&A about youth gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I got some youth rappers I'll give you a hint, from New York, and they just was on Flex last week.
Okay, got you. All right, bet. So yeah, man, Harry Bell, man, appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate you for being like a positive voice. Appreciate you for just being you and doing what you're doing. Something that we need in the community. You know, when you don't see the thing that you want to see in the hood or in the community, you just go ahead and create it. You've been doing this for 10 years. 10 years as of when, like October, or when did you start this 10 years ago? Like,
again, my son is about to be 18. I started when my son probably was like 9 with him and 5 of his friends.
Dope.
On a patio on the terrace.
Mm-hmm. So now on the 10th anniversary of Color of Positive Thought, you got any plans? Any like big grandiose ideas of things to do?
To tell you the truth, man, I really don't even like keep up with that stuff. So my partner be like, yeah, you know this is this, because I'm so
wrapped up in other stuff,
in the zone of, getting to where I'm going, but don't even got a destination.
Right.
I'm just going.
Just going.
I'm just going.
Right.
Wherever God leads me, I'm there.
Dope. I'm with it, man. You know, just keep this ball rolling, man. Don't stop. Take this shit as far as you can take it, you know, and just keep being a positive light in, you know, Bridgeport, because we don't have that many. Like I said, a lot of people leave, don't come back. A lot of people have the resources, have the access, don't use it for us. They want to take their talents elsewhere and be, you know, whoever they want to be in those cities. But we got a homegrown, hometown hero that we need to nurture, that we need to protect at all costs, and he's just doing the right thing out here, and we need to take notice of that. So if I can, you know, whenever you need to get something out there, get your voice out there, you always, you know, got this platform to use and do with it as you please.
Thank you.
So yeah, man, like I said, this might be my last show for the year, 2022. Don't know what I'm doing yet. I don't got shit planned. I'm taking a break. But definitely we're going to have more guests. You know, we're going to reach out to who we need to reach out to. It might be a couple Zoom interviews. It might be a couple in-person interviews. It all depends on, you know, what's going on. But it's a lot of people out here doing a lot of good stuff that I want to talk to. A lot of people that I haven't talked to, that I've been wanting to talk to over the years. So, you know, 2022, man, we're going to get shit rocking. Harry Bell, appreciate you for coming through, my brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. So, as the saying goes, one thing's for certain, we too much for these niggas and 3 much for these hoes. I got to change that. I got mad positive people in the building. I keep saying that, but, you know, it is what it is. One thing's for certain, we too much for these niggas and 3 much for these hoes. I go by the name of Domino. That's Mr. Harry Bell, Mr. Color of Positive Thought. And we out of here.
Peace.
See y'all next year.
Domino, motherfuckers, what's happening?
C'est tout.
Yeah, all right.